Patanjali is defining samadhi. Earlier, he had just mentioned about what type of samadhis exist. So, in 17th Sutra, it is called Vitarka Vichara
आनंद, अस्मिता,
Asmita
रूप अनुगम.
Asmita Rupa Anugamat. What is the last word?
संप्रज्ञातः.
Samprajnata. He hasn't used any noun, specific name there. He has used one word, Rupa. Vitarka Rupa. Vichara Rupa. Ananda Rupa. Asmita Rupa. And these are called Samprajnata. This Rupa of what? Nobody asked. Rupa of Chittam. When your Chittam becomes like this, attains the Rupa or the form of Vitarka, that is an object, Vichara, that is the thought, then Ananda, the cognition, pure cognition, which is, of course, pure cognition leads to Ananda. And then Asmita. Asmita is cognition of self. Objective self, that is what is Asmita. Ahankar, not subjective self. So these are some pragyat samadhi. Your chittam or chitta or mind acquires these forms. As I said earlier also, I told that mind presents itself in the form of the objects to Atman. And thus, finally, the cognition happens at the level of self, subjective self. The one who witnesses, and at the same time, this ego or asmita is a kind of instrument of subjective self which operates in this differentiated world, transactional world, and therefore it is just a representative which derives all the powers from Purusha or Atman. In fact, even mind derives the capacities from Chaitanya, Purusha, Atman. Even Buddhi derives that power from it. However, Asmita has a specific role. It is kind of cognition about self. Whether that is a correct cognition of self or not, that's another question. However, this self-recognition of self happens for all those people who have not attained asampragyat samadhi. It is at the level of asmita, ahankar. Okay? Correct? Because in between comes the prakriti. which is equivalent to Maya. Representative of Maya, representative of Kanchukas. If we go to philosophy of Tantra, because Purusha within the boundaries or within the enclosures of Kanchukas feels limited. When the Kanchukas dissolve, then the Purusha knows that he is Shiva. Correct? So therefore, Prakriti is a big term in Sankhya philosophy. And probably Sankhya teacher is not able to explain Advaita using this model so clearly though. And therefore, they haven't been able to actually define or decode this Prakriti. Why there should be many realities of similar kind. When we say that all the constituent elements of this creation are just single entities. For example, when you say Prithvi, there are not multiple Prithvis. There are not multiple Prithvis. There is only one Tattva, which is called Prithvi Tattva. Correct? However, when we adopt that modeling of Tantra, then many things become clear. The Kanchukas actually overlap or kind of take your antahkarana also in that enclosure. Therefore, Purusha along with Prakriti along with antahkarana feels like a entity which is separated from the whole. Therefore, you feel beyond the body, because if you investigate your body, you'll say that this is made up of 5 elements, and any body for that matter is only 5 elements. Panchatattvas. They all emanate from tanmatras. Tanmatras are also same everywhere. You can't say my tanmatra is different, your tanmatra is different. But since Jnanendriyas and Karmendriyas are offshoot of your antahkarana, one action part and one cognition part. So in these areas, you do feel differentiation. You feel my indriyas are different from other indriyas. See, so clear definition is, clear demarcation is there. The clear demarcation is only till the body, where bodies are all equal, made up of 5 elements. And these 5 elements or the 5 tattvas emanate from 5 tanmatras. So here Kanchukas, etc. come into play, and therefore, since your antahkarana itself gets impacted by the limitations, so anything arising out of that has a kind of hue of it, differentiated. So I become many. So I perceive as me and you, I and you. So one Purusha becomes many. You understood what I mean? For water, there are no different rivers. Only water exists. But for anybody who is focused on rivers, that confinement of water in different bodies, it will say there are different rivers, there are lakes, there are oceans, there are ponds. But water is one. For water, there is no duality. Water will not say that water in the lake is different from the water in ocean. It's water only. So this is the problem. Because Purusha gets embodied in this body, encased in this body, or rather every body, the cognition is differentiated. We become many. And therefore, philosophy of yoga talks about mukti or freedom from birth and death for a limited period of time. That is for a kalpa, in which the period of mukti is also defined in somewhat 35,000 plus times. This creation will happen and get destroyed, and soul will be free from the clutches of birth and death. All the sanskaras being individually associated in the mukti also. You don't get freedom from all your karmas even then, but you get freedom, temporary relief. But this temporary relief is also kind of eternity. Is it not? Compared to 100 years of your lifetime, think about a time when you get freedom from all the miseries for the time period of 36 or 35,000 times, approximately that. Right. The whole cosmos is created, the whole cosmos is destroyed. 36,000 times. Approximately. I may not be accurate there, however. This is the time. On that time scale, you attain your freedom. But you are not completely free from your karmas yet. So when after that kalpa, when again the srishti will happen, the creation will happen, these souls will be put back to their journey again. Okay, so mukti is temporary in yoga philosophy. So being a yogi is rewarding, of course, because it also helps in attaining good health and longevity, what we call youthfulness, and all the capacities to enjoy this world and also afterwards. Let us come back to subjects. We will not deviate much into tantra, but it's needed for you to not get confused. I keep on reminding you that what is the difference? The difference is this. So in yoga philosophy, as you know, there are multiple souls. They all are on their journey. When they get freedom, they get the proximity of Ishvara or Paramatma. They live in the company of Paramatma, free from all sufferings, free from the clutches of birth and death. But for that, minimum threshold needs to be crossed. And that minimum threshold is asamprajñāt samādhi. Asamprajñāt samādhi. So in that asamprajñāt samādhi only you have to drop your body. Then only. In that state itself, you have to move away from your body. Because for asamprajñāt samādhi, the person who has experienced asamprajñāt samādhi, even there the possibility of fall exists. Why? Because the yoga philosophy itself is saying that all the karmas are not yet exhausted. So any past sanskara may arise. However, it is understood that when a person has attained asamprajñāt samādhi, the highest of it, he will have vashikara vairagya and para vairagya both. So probably he should not be deterred from that state. Yet there is a possibility. So therefore, in Tantra it is said Jnānināmapi chetānsa. Even if you become jnani, you are not out of clutches of Maya. Still Maya, the Prakriti, can become dominant. Coming back to this 17th Sutra, there are different absorptions. Okay. Rupa of your Chittam. Now, when these samadhis are being defined, you should know that it is Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Right? What is the main vritti of the Chitta? What is the main vritti of Chitta? Main vritti of Chitta is to remain disturbed. Yes or no? By this or that. Stay in somewhat zigzag fashion, continue to move from one subject to another. That's the predominant vritti. So here, lower samadhis, which Patanjali defines in this 17th sutra, where he says Vitarka, Vichara, Ananda, Asmita, he is not talking of complete lack of cognition of anything. It is not lack of cognition of anything. Rather, a thing exists. Right? A thing exists. Thing exists in the objective world itself. For example, apart from Purusha, which is subjective, everything else is objective. Correct or not? So in this objective world, you have vichar, you have vastu, that means you have an object, you have thought, you have associated cognition of the object which leads to ananda, and then or jnana. But jnana and ananda are to be taken separately, probably later on we'll see. And then asmita. These are all lying in the domain of objectivity. But now a well-conditioned, well-trained chittam is not following the original vritti. It has gotten rid of that original vritti of moving from one object to another. Correct? So here, if such a mind takes up one thing, it stays there. It stays there. And that is why it is said that whatever be the subject, it can be an object, it can be a thought, it can be cognition, it can be ananda itself, it can be the objective self, it's as an object. Who am I? The famous meditation of Raman Maharshi. Who's questioning who am I? Who is questioning who am I? The intellect is questioning who am I? What is the most probable reply which will come? It will come from within the chittam itself. The ego, the ahankara will reply, this is me. Even if you strip away all your attributes, then also in most of cases, it will be objective self, that is ego. But by the grace of Guru, or by one's own determination and heightened vairagya, so that mind is not interested in otherness. You see, what is vairagya? What is vairagya? Your dissociation, dispassion about anything other than yourself, the self. That means you're self-obsessed. And I say this with all the knowledge at my command, that the spiritual person is most self-obsessed person. Obsessed in positive way. Why? He is always aware of self. In whatever way he knows himself. So, asmita, if you start experiencing this, which is the highest among these four, please understand that. Asmita is the highest of samadhi in sampragyat. When you attain that element of ego or asmita in your chitta, and you experience it, what is your actual recognition? Your actual recognition is, I am the chitta. Correct? Otherness exists. You are Chaitanya, not chitta. But ego, that's objective ego, is part of chittam. The asmita, the ego, is part of chittam, which consists of mana, ahankara, and buddhi. Right? Buddhi being the higher tattva. Okay. So here you cognize yourself as chitta, because this identity of yours is well within the periphery of chitta. And this little subtle differentiation has been very well explained in tantric text called Yoga Sutra, where for the lowest ones, the experiences Atma Chitta. Correct? So Asmita Samadhi or Asmita, absorption with Asmita or ego, will give you the recognition, which is also a very, very, I will say, very, very significant and very critical quantum shift in your own understanding about self. So far, you understand yourself as a mother, father, whatever, and you understand that your body, understand that is my karmendriyas and dhanendriyas, my world around me is me. Also, that you feel that all the collection of your memories is me. Just think about it. If all the memories are taken away from you, or you by your own control are able to suppress them and not allow them to resurface in your awareness. And in this state, if you recognize your true identity, it will be ego. Yes or no? Because nothing is emerging on the surface. Those who have attended Art of Contemplation workshop, they can relate with my this statement. Nothing is coming to surface. You're not recalling anything on the surface from your smriti. So temporarily, you have come to that state of being nobody. Even when you are nobody, you are somebody. That somebody is the pure ego of yours, which is an element within the framework of Chittam itself. This is the realization. This is self-realization of lower category. Correct? Lower category. Correct? And this is the samadhi of Anav Upaya. Till the time you stay in this awareness, completely free from all the identities, you are staying in Anav Samadhi. Tantra says. Right? But we need to go back to the sutra which we are discussing now to understand what are the processes, through which process, in which sequence, or what are further complications there. What is saṃkīrṇā samādhi? What is Savitarkā Samāpatti? Okay. Now, see, there only Vitarka Vichara was told. But now Patanjali will define that Vitarka is also Savitarka Nirvitarka. Savichara Nirvichara. So, even when we achieve this first phase of samadhi, first phase of the lowest, lowest of the lower, let's say, that is Vitarka. Patanjali is defining Savitarka. Savitarka. Okay. What is Vitarka? Vitarka is object. Okay. Let us now take up this example and in your own experience, try to find out what does it mean. Let's say I give you this example here. I take out this object. Okay? This object. This is the object. Can you see that? This is an object. You understand? What is it? It is used to wipe the specks. You understood what it is? Whatever name you give it. You give it a name, it's a cloth. Wiping cloth. Correct? Right? You recognized it. If you did not know the real name, exact name, then also you recognize it as a cloth. Right? It's cloth. Now I say, become aware of this and only of this. The process is, now I look at this and be absorbed in this. Means no other thing will come in my mind, only this object will prevail in my awareness. Nothing else. I won't entertain anything, everything else is suppressed. Now, in this particular cognition, how are you going to perceive this object? Try to fine-tune your awareness here and try to see what is it that you are looking at. What is it that your mind or your chittam is being one with? What is it? What are different things which are being perceived here in your awareness? You need to be really very, very aware in order to understand what all is in your head. When looking at this object, even when you are not allowing anything else to enter your mind and anything from your memory is not being entertained, you have that much control. What is it that I'm perceiving as of now? I would just want to bring about one more important point in everybody's attention. You see, if you are trying to rise high, go to a higher plane, at a greater height, what do? You use a ladder, let's say, or use stairs. Let's talk about a very primitive way of doing it, because step by step you have to go. Correct? And there is no such thing that you can skip any of these steps, that from first step in the ladder, you can directly move to the fourth ladder and you start explaining about it, because you don't have any experience of it. You haven't put your foot on any intermediate steps. You should be aware of it. How to reach a particular height would involve you rising step by step there. All the steps need to be clear to you. Yes or no? So, just talking about a higher consciousness, or even if we say that we understand, understanding is not needed. That is why Jnanam Bandha. How many times we have talked about it? In words, it doesn't matter. If experientially you have not been able to go deeper into this experience of simply connecting with an object, when all your other vikalpas, all your other options, all your smritis, all your pratyaksha, other pratyakshas are also there, for other direct experiences are also happening. When I showed this clothes to you, does that mean my specs are not there? They are there. My turban is not there? They are there. I am not there. I am also here in this body, the body of mine. Is it not there? It is. But when I say, look at this, you have selectively chosen to focus your awareness on only this, and you have omitted all other pratyaksha. Okay, let me give you another example. Look around and try to find out how many things are around which have, let's say, black color. Look around, find out. Do it, learn it experientially. Okay, you did that? Okay. Everyone? You did that? Okay. Now tell me what all things were there which were white. Even though all white things were also pratyaksha to you, were in direct cognition of yours, but you did not take note of it. It did not appear to you. You did not register it at all. You registered all black because you chose to focus on black. All right, now, with this little experiment, you have definitely understood the capacity of your mind. It can cognize things in exclusion. For sure, it exists. Yes or no? It can cognize things in exclusion. If I want to exclude certain things out of my cognition, I can. Only I have to give right kind of command. Right? Now, all that is the part of the contemplation 3. However, just try to focus here. What I am saying, even if things are pratyaksha, directly in contact with your sense organs, you perceive only that much about which you are interested, about which you are aware. Other things don't exist. Correct? Other things don't exist. Correct? So, my whole idea to give you this exercise was to tell you that when you focus on black, you omit white. This is the capacity of mind. This capacity you have. Now, using this as example, I can say 1,000 things. I can say 1,000 things. But only if you really try to utilize this power of awareness, power of choice. Acha, tell me, are you happy or suffering? Your choice. Because if you become aware of what is good in your life, do not drop everything else, you are happy. Like you were just surrounded by black, you did not notice white. In the same way, you are surrounded by both, happiness and suffering both, joy and suffering both. But when I ask you, are you suffering or happy? What is your natural tendency? I'm suffering. That's your choice. So I can say so many things. Anyways, coming back to the original mood point here. It just came in the way of samāpattiḥ or samādhi that I'm bringing this point here. That our chittam cognizes first what word we have given for that you start to. The word I gave you the word black. Then you found what is black around you. One is the object itself, and another one is the word associated with that. So when I say, let's say rose, you are aware of the word rose, then you become aware of the rose and object also. So you are aware of the word as well as sound rose as well as the rose itself. Now go other way. Now other way around. What is it? I present the rose as an object in front of you. Then also both the things will flash in your head. Not only that object will come, it will also be, there will be one more awareness of this sound word, which is associated with the object. There are two things now. I was talking about only cognition, what is happening with, I'm showing that cloth. Two things happen, the cloth and the word cloth. Yes. You being aware of knowing this cloth. That means jnana. But the object is associated with the attributes also. That is also fine-tuning of knowing the object, right? And for every other attribute, you have a word. Please understand that. For every other attribute, you have a word. So when I say I present a cloth, what occupies your mind space? Is it occupied by only the word cloth? That's all. Or you're further moving into the gunas and qualities and attributes of cloth, then your mind will be full of so many words. Right? Yes or no? It cannot be only one word. So there is the problem. Yogis will not move even a step further. Cloth as a word and cloth as an object. These two things, they're not getting there. But of course, not easy in the first go. You'll definitely be, aware of certain attributes popping out of your memory, because this is how you have trained your mind to cognize things. You meet a person, a human form, you say hi. First you recognize this is a person, it's a buffalo, correct? This is cognition has happened. This is a human form, it's not a buffalo. That cognition happened. But further, after saying, when you said hi, then you also recognize that this person is known to me. Second, you did not avoid, you also knew he is friend to me. And I have a good relationship. Third, you also, when you said hi, you also know he's a male or female. Right? When you say hi, probably in that moment itself, you recollected so many things associated with him. Hi, how are you? Long time no see. That you also represented. You also remembered, when did I last meet you? And then you also remembered what did happen in that meeting. Was it a happy ending, bad ending, what not? Right? One object and so many thought constructs. Yogi's mind doesn't work like that. As I always say, for chitta vritti nirodha to happen, that means complete cessation of the vrittis to happen, first niyantrana of vrittis is needed. Control on the vrittis is needed. That means ekagrata or concentration or focus is to be mastered. And that's a thing which Swami Vivekananda has talked a lot in his books. Even if you pick up the book on Raj Yoga, he will be talking about, even if you, this particular aspect of focus. Because when he was asked this question, how can you memorize the whole book in one, just flipping the pages one by one, and you say that come back and ask anything from me about this book? This is only focus. Nothing else enters my mind. I and the book, I and the pages, nothing else. This is focus, right? This is focus, nothing else, no associated thought. And of course, it does not mean that the persons who are really grasping the principles of self or our antahkarana, or in this journey, they are very, very, I'll say very sensitive, very strongly oriented towards this journey. And occasionally they are also very much focused. They may lack this attribute altogether, which is focus for the long time, and not creating further ripples of thought associated with that object. That's a problem. So when you see a thing, just see that thing. When you see a thing, just see that thing. This is how yogis look at the world. So when you go in front of, and you to say, Buddha has a story, you have so many stories to tell about Buddha. And Buddha was such an enlightened person that when this man came, he started abusing, and he kept quiet, he kept smiling, he was peaceful, his face was brimming with joy and that supreme bliss. And so much, this fellow was pissed off that he just spit it on his face and he simply wiped on it. Okay? And the next day, probably this guy realized his mistake and he came and again, started begging for forgiveness and was unconsolably crying about his wrong behavior toward that person. He was still brimming with the same kind of peace, joy, contentment on his face. No change. Why no change? Because both the times he was operating out of Vidya. First, compassion there. Now, compassion again. Now, when he was looking the next day at this person, he was only looking at this person, not the person of yesterday. If he would do it, he will also be impacted exactly the way we get impacted. That is the control. Understand? And that is what is the great qualities of teachers, that they see you in your state where you are, not where have you been. Correct? So this is the quality, and that is how the progress, or that is how you are accepted, that is how you make progress, that is how you get all their compassion, love, affection, guidance, everything. They don't allow any other vritti to take over. When they see you, they just see you. You of now, not you of past 10 centuries. And even if they see that, they have a choice whether to focus on your goods or whether to focus on your bads. As I always say, if you want to become aware of somebody's goodness, you can be. It's only our choice. I gave you that mind can perceive in exclusion. Do you remember that experiment? Black and white. So here, when I am talking of vitarka, or an object which is placed in front of you, you have three things which you know. One is bird. Go to the sutra. What is that? Shabda and
Artha, Jnana.
Gyan, that you also know that you know. You know that you know the cloth now. That also you know. Three things are there. One is Shabda, another one is object. Object along with its Shabda has a artha. What is it? Shabda and śabda-artha, both are there. When you say śabda-artha, means śabda-artha, both. When I say cow, cow is not merely a word, it has a artha. Artha is also known to you. Okay, cow is standing in front of you and you are just becoming aware of. Suddenly you become aware of it and you want to have this samāpattiḥ as a beginner, as a beginner. Someone who has gone through a lot of vairagya practice and all that, whatever has been discussed so far. Ishwar Pranidhan, Pranavajapa, Maitri Karma, etc. He has all practiced enough. And he's not having much of disturbances in his chittam, and he can try this. I want to do samādhi. I want to do samavesh of cow. Now, when that figure appears in front of you, a word appears in front. Immediately a word, Shabda comes. What is that? Gau. Gau is actually the word in Sanskrit. Immediately a word flashes. That is cow. And when the cow word flashes, you have the meaning of that as well. What is the meaning? Milk, calf, health, mata, horns, tail, and so many things. Yes or no? And then the third agency of you being aware of that artha, shabda, an object. Three. So, while you are observing an object outside, I'm not concerned with the object outside. In your head, the object has split in three. It has split in three. One shabda, one meaning of it, and one cognition of it. What do you say, object cow? I'll tell you what is object cow. Object cow is that impression which you got in your lifetime when you were exposed to this creature for the first time. You did not know what it is. This is object cow. Understand? Understand? First time in your life, you're looking at an object which is no name. Object is there. That is cow. Your dad, your mom, your grandma, your grandpa, or whatever who comes, and your brother, sister, elder to you, they say, Beta, ye kya hai? What is this? This is cow. Now, the cow is the sound associated with this word. Now, going to learning stages. What is happening in my chittam? Object cow. No word for it. That still persists. Don't think that no, that process has gone. You have become too fast in association, switching from that object to the word, to the meaning, to the cognition, and all that is happening. But you are not observing it. Now I am giving you the apt example where first time you saw the cow. You don't know what it is, but Vismayo Yog Bhumika, you're looking at it. Somebody comes and tells you, cow. Now the word cow and this object cow is associated. Now, this one. Gaay hamari mata hai. Cow is mother to us. Ah, cow. Ye beta doodh deti. It gives milk. Okay, milk also associated with it. It's a vegetarian animal. Now vegetarian is also added to it. So many things get added to it. And this is the breed. This is Jersey breed. We have Desi cow in our place. Okay. Another breed element also added to it. The milk produces less here, Desi cow. Milk produces very high. Milk produce also added. Now, from that moment, when you just saw a cow, you did not know what cow is. And then next moment, you know that this is a sound. This is represented by the sound cow. And then that cow gets into that word, śabda-artha, which is all the association word of, all the characteristics of cow, which are now creating the cow in your head. Cow is outside. Now I remove the cow. Focus on it. Is cow not there? Yes, it is there. But I'll tell you, only if you become very, very aware, then only you will be able to see cow. Otherwise, you only be aware of Shabda. Cow has disappeared. Only the meaning of the words you know. And you're experiencing the meanings associated with the word. You're not seeing cow. That experience of you being aware of an object itself without associating it with any sound, name, or any characteristic has gone. Why? Because of your sanskars, because of your smriti. And that is why Patanjali says smriti is also a vritti. You need to first curb it. Smriti need not come. So anytime when we look at people, anybody who comes in front of us, how should we look at it? If we are a yogi, I don't know him. I don't know her. Understand? Then I want to know her. I want to know him. Then I'll go back to my smriti. Then I'll search the name for that person. And then I'll associate with. Then I'll call further smriti. Then I'll characteristics. If I need, I will. If I don't need, I will not. This is how yogis do. That much control. Snake, an object. They are not fearful because they are able to hold themselves there. Snake, an object. Nothing more than that. An object. Even if I want, only if I want to associate a word, I will recall that. Snake. Even if I want to associate any other memory, then I'll recall that. Poisonous, non-poisonous, name, etc. Breed, whatever. Species, whatever you call, right? Then again, otherwise it will not. Do you have that much control on your mind? Yogis do have. If you can create that kind of control in your mind, then you become capable of first samadhi, which is called Savitarkā Samāpatti. That too, it's lowest, because this is not one. There are three. Three things in your head, not one. Object, the meaning, and I'm talking about the beginner. I'm not talking about the seasoned yogi who's doing all that, whatever I explained just now. You see an object, the object is only in front of you, nothing else. This will be nirvitarka. I don't know you. You don't know me. Yogis cognize this word in this way. And that is why in Shambhavopaya it was said, not in Anavopaya, Vismayo Yoga Bhumika. Anytime anyone appears, even he is appearing 1,000th time or 10,000 times in front of you, it's a Vismay. Aha, Prakat ho gaye Maharaj. Still alive. Vismay. Experience. Just experience. Will it not bring joy to you? Only you are guided by your memory and therefore you don't take joy in it. I know this person. So anytime anyone appears in front of you, you cognize that object. That's it. You want to recall a name, you will, if you are a yogi. For now, you can't do that. So don't try it. For the yogi, is it a choice for him? Yes, it is a choice for him. It's a choice for him to remember and forget. That is how smriti can be controlled. Or else, how do you think a smriti will be under control? What is a smriti? Smriti of name, association of name with a form, is a smriti. Correct or not? If you say, I have command on my smriti, which simply means, if I want to remember you, I will remember you. If I don't want to remember, I don't remember. Even if you come in front of me, I don't remember you. I can suppress it. It's not autonomous. That means it's not in autopilot that, yeah, this will happen. No, इन्होंने गाली दिया है, he has abused me, तो गुस्सा तो आएगा ही. No, they are not doing anything which is as per my expectation, so I'll feel frustrated. No, my choice. Whether I allow it or not. That is the caliber of a yogi. So all Patanjali Yoga Sutra listeners, please come back to your shoes, come back to your grounds, and get back to Tantra, your original practice, where at least you can do something and you can get the sense of doing also, achieving also. I have done Anushthan of Savalaksh, good, very nice. Whether something happens or not, who cares? At least sense of accomplishment comes. Here, it's very direct. If you haven't been able to do this, you haven't been. That's it. Clear demarcation. You don't have any control as yet on your chittam, not capable. Then go to next. Next will come. And 3 steps will be given. Tap, Swadhyay, and Ishwar Pranidhana. Currently, it's only Vairagya and Abhyas. It is the outcome of perfected Vairagya, which is Vashikara Vairagya. Also, the other one, which is possible only for the very few. For whom? Patanjali gives a hint. Videha Prakriti Layanam. Only for this. That it's not they accept that it's not a one lifetime journey. It's not a journey of one lifetime. They agree. And Tantra is a journey of one lifetime. That is also not. But do we say that specifically? No, we don't say. We continue to progress. Continue to progress. So, more optimistic. Anyways. So here, let us summarize it. Savitarkā Samādhi or Savitarkā Samāpatti is a samāpatti, which is a kind of saṃkīrṇā. The apt is saṃkīrṇā is not the shankar. I'm saying saṃkīrṇā, which means cross. Saṃkīrṇā. Many things coming together. What are those things? The 3 things. And your mind keeps switching from one to another. Sometimes word, sometimes meaning of it, sometimes object. Understand? Your mind is not stable yet, but its movement has been now confined. And that is why it is also termed as samāpattiḥ. Savitarkā Samāpatti. This needs to be understood. And if you haven't understood this step and you start thinking, no, I will one day come to know myself, higher being, etc., forget about it. It doesn't happen that way. Don't fool yourself. You have to practice Abhyasa Vairagya. If you can't jump into Vairagya directly, go to Yama Niyama and then you will be drifted into Vairagya. You are not able to cultivate it directly with using your viveka or discrimination, then follow the method, which is much grosser, categorically giving you certain actions, orientations of it. Here also, it is not so that the Patanjali is not giving certain actionables to highest kind of sadhaka. He is giving that. What is it that he is talking about? Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upeksha. That is all there. When you follow that, then only Vairagya gets reinstated. It evaporates, then again it comes back. So, by practice, Abhyasa, Pranavaja, Prachardhan, and your focus on enlightened teachers and all that, on higher personalities, everything. So, he is not saying that no other thing. Abhyasa is of all this, and what it has to be coupled with Vairagya. Abhyasa leads to Vairagya. Vairagya leads to Samādhi. So let's close it here. I hope from this sutra, you have understood where you stand as far as path of Yoga Darshan is concerned. It requires a lot of effort. 100% dedication. Nothing you can say, I can't do, I'll do tomorrow, not now. not today, all the time. All the time. Then only you get perfect. Remember, always is the key. It does not mean that only yoga demands it. Tantra also demands it. Yoga is more complicated in terms because you need to work on yourself using soft tools only. Subtle tools only. So far, Abhyas Vairagya. But there, you have grosser tools also. You have a rosary, you have a mat, you have a deity, you have a mantra, and so many things. All right. Let's pray and then we'll leave. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukhabhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shiva.